Next, let's do a demonstration of route summarization. What I've done here is I've taken the example that I used when I was calculating the summarized routes. I took that example and I'm using it right here in my lab. What I've done so far is I have configured router A and router B, but I've only put the IP addresses on the interfaces. On router B, I've created 8 loopback interfaces, and I've applied the first host address of each one of those networks on those loopbacks. The loopbacks are loopback 0 through loopback 3 for the 10 dot networks, and then the loopbacks 10 through 13 for the 192.168 networks. On router B, we're going to configure a static default route there. I don't necessarily need a static default route, but in order to get my traffic back to the 172.16.0.0 network on router B, I'm going to need some route there. And in this case, I'm just going to configure the default route. On router A, we're going to add in those 2 static routes for the 10.0.0.0/22 and the 192.168.96.0/21 networks. We'll do any troubleshooting we need to do along the way. Let's move on to the equipment and see what we have going on. Right now I am connected to the 172.16.0.10 workstation. I can open up command prompt and verify that by issuing the ipconfig command. Let's now do some testing and see what I can reach on my network and what I can't. I should be able to reach my default gateway, 172.16.0.1, and I can do that without a problem. I should also be able to ping the F01 interface of my default gateway, which is the 10.99.0.1 address. And here I do get a reply. What I should not get a reply from is the 10.99.0.2 address, which is the F00 interface of router B. And the reason for that should be that router B currently does not have a route back to the 172.16.0.0 network. Well, let's go on to router B and configure that default route so that we can get a reply back from the 10.99.0.2 address. I'd like you to notice something that I'm doing here as well. I'm not just rushing ahead and applying static routes to my devices and then hoping for the best and doing testing. And the reason I'm doing this is by going step by step, we can reduce the number of errors we make, as well as have a much easier time troubleshooting errors that we do make. So let's go on to router B. I'm going to open up PuTTY. I have my rollover cable plugged into the console port of router B. We'll log in here. And if I do a show IP route, right now we should see 8 loopback interfaces and then 1 network on fast Ethernet 0.0. Let's go configure our static default route. So we say IP route 0.0.0.0 with a mask of 0.0.0.0. And my next hop here, 10.99.0.1. So now that I've had that added onto router B, let's see if I can ping 10.99.0.2 from my PC. So I'll move back to the command prompt. We'll issue that same ping command, and I should get a response now. Something's not quite right here. Let's go find out what is wrong and preventing me from pinging the F00 interface of router B. So we'll go back to router B. Now I'm in PuTTY. If I do a show IP route, what we should see is we should see our static default route and then our directly connected networks. Except I don't see a static default route. Additionally, that very first line of my message here says, gateway of last resort not set. Well, the gateway of last resort is the default gateway. They're one and the same. So considering I put that static route on there, we should be seeing an entry here. Well, let's do a show IP interface brief and make sure that the IP addresses that I have configured are correct. So here I have fast Ethernet 0.0 of router B 10.0.99.2, which looks correct, but it is not, right? The correct IP address, if you look at the drawing, is 10.99.0.2. So let's go back into fast Ethernet 0.0 and fix our address. It's a relatively easy mistake to have happen. Let's fix it up here. We have a 30-bit mask on that segment. If I now take a look at my show IP route, we should now see that my static route now shows up for my default route. My gateway of last resort is set now, and my directly connected network 10.99.0.0/30 is now corrected. What was happening there is, in order for a static route to get added to the routing table, the next hop of that static route must be reachable. In this case, 10.99.0.1 was not reachable from router B, therefore it never added the route to the table. The reason that it wasn't reachable is that F00 was misconfigured with the 10.0.99.2 address. Now we've corrected it. We should now be able to ping 10.99.0.2 from my PC. The first message timed out there. I expect that's because there are some ARP messages being exchanged. Now we are able to get the response, so we can move on to our next steps. What I know now with certainty is that my PC can reach router B and get a response. However, if I try to ping the 10.0.0.1 address on router B, I am not going to get a response. And here I'm actually getting a response from ICMP from router A, 172.16.0.1, saying the destination host is unreachable. Usually this means there is no route on the router to reach the IP address that we're pinging. Let me move my rollover cable now over to router A, and we'll connect in PuTTY. So right now I'm connected to router A. Let's log in. If I do a show IP route, what we're going to find out is that I only have two directly connected networks, the 172.16.0.0/24 network and the 10.99.0.0/30 network. We've already demonstrated that I'm able to ping addresses on both those networks from my PC. Now what we need to do is add in our static routes that we configured for our loopback interfaces. Those are the summarized static routes we've configured. There's nothing special about adding a summarized route. We're going to use the same IP route statement. This is going to have a destination of 10.0.0.0 with a subnet mask of 255.255.252.0. That is a /22 mask. The next hop is going to be router B at 10.99.0.2. Now that I have that route added, what I should be able to do from the PC is ping any one of the loopback interfaces on router B from my PC. So let's move back to my command prompt, and we're going to issue that same ping command that we issued before where we got the failure. This time we're going to send it again, and we get a reply from 10.0.0.1. If we do our second network, ping 10.0.1.1, we get a response there. Ping 10.0.2.1, we should get a response. And then ping 10.0.3.1, we should also get a response. So we're able now to reach all four loopback interfaces on router B using only one single route on router A. If I try to ping now my 192.168.96.1 address, we should get a response again saying the destination host is unreachable. If we go back to router A now, and I issue the show IP route command, we'll see here now that my static route exists for my summarized route for the four networks on router B. We need to add another one now for the 192.168 networks. So let's do that. We're going to go to config T, IP route 192.168.96.0. Our mask here is 255.255.248.0. And I need a next hop address. And my next hop here is 10.99.0.2. If I look at show IP route, now I should have two static routes in my table. Here is the second route that I just added. If I now go back to my PC, I should now be able to ping the 192.168.96.1 address without a problem. I should be able to ping the 192.168.98.1 address without a problem. We can do the same for the 100.1 address as well as the 102.1 address. We can now reach all of the networks that are directly connected to router B. I'm going to save these proper configs as well as the original configs and put them in the exercise file section so you can download and use those in your own lab.